Hi, my name is Tadiro Chanyu and I'm your host for the Creative Economy Conversations. This is a space where we're taking everything that we're learning through British Council's So Creative e-learning course and bringing it to life through the various conversations that we'll be having with practitioners, people who are moving and shaping things in the creative space in Africa. So please do take a seat, sit back, relax, and make sure you glean into some of the nuggets that we are learning from these amazing creatives who've taken their time to share with us. Let's create and let's build.
Today we're joined by an amazing leader who is redefining and shaping the institutional space. We've got the regional manager for the National Art Gallery of Zimbabwe in Bulawayo. Welcome to the Creative Economy Conversation, Silenkosi Moyo.
Thank you, Tariro.
It is such a pleasure to finally just sit. We're always running around whenever
Yes,
we
very
meet.
much so.
We never actually get the chance to just sit and find out what's happening. So, yeah, welcome to the Creative Economy Conversations.
Thank you.
And one of the things you've always said to me is or I've heard you say in certain spaces, that the gallery space is an exclusive space. Now that you're in the space, talk to us about how you're making it more inclusive and inviting more people to it.
No, thank you very much, Tariro. You know, it's one thing to look at a space from outside and then to actually then coming to run the space, which
Yeah.
we've always defined as exclusive. So being at the helm of leadership, it has made me realize that a lot of people just associate the gallery with the building and a certain type of people and not exactly seeing themselves as part of the gallery.
Absolutely.
So we've been intentional in opening our doors to say everyone can come in. And that has translated into the kind of programs that we're making, programs for children, programs for adults, programs for schools, programs for artists, and then to make sure that the audience has something that they can relate to from every aspect, even through the craft shop as well. So you should be able to find your earrings, your handbags, even if you want your art to put at home. We just want to make sure that everyone is accessing that space, either to buy a gift or to see the artist in residence or to bring their children for art lessons or just to collect them for piano lessons. So we're really doing our best to make sure that space is open and accessible to everyone. I think more so also when I'm speaking to particularly the artists is to make sure that we're not just waiting for the artist to come already established and polished. We're saying to all those young, even imaging, even when you're older, you can still be an imaging artist,
Yeah.
you know, to say the gallery is your home. How do you find what you need from there? You contact us, you connect with us, we'll help you find your creativity. And we either give you a residency space or an exhibition platform or an outlet to sell at the shop or to attend workshops. And we're not doing it alone. Sometimes Magitare Trust holding an event at the gallery creates access to people that we normally wouldn't have access to also.
Absolutely.
So new audience through partnerships and through marketing, through just being present even outside the building itself. So I hope that has created the kind of access that has made more people come through to the gallery.
I hope so too. And I think we're
Yeah.
seeing a bit more of it as well. But talk to us about the artist in residence, because I know that's one way that you are making sure that there's mentorship happening,
Yeah.
there's capacity building happening. Talk to us about how that works.
So the residency program, initially when we started it, I think we really targeted young artists. And I think we had this partnership with Mzilia's Art and Crafts Center to say, as your students finish learning at the center, then what? So we sort of ran it and trying to see how we're nurturing them from just school artists to being professional artists who are learning to make use of the studio space, managing your time from 8 up to 5. And we saw its results gradually. Artists, they came, they grew into something else. And we've carried that with us to date. And I think the initial focus was on Bulawayo artists. We realized also that as a regional gallery, there are other artists that are not benefiting from us being this regional gallery. So we opened up the call to any artists within this region to say you can come through and have a residency. When we have funding, we are then able to support either with art materials for the artists or with studio space where we pay the studio rental fees for you, or depending on what the artist would have expressed as their need, then we try and support you. And there's also the element of it being self-funded. If you are able to finance your studio fees, you can have the residency there. And then what we then do is the capacity building. For example, where we bring in Tariro to say, can you come and speak to the young artists about how to respond to open calls, for example. We've opened up even the residency to have international artists come in. That creates exchange for the young artists in the space and exposure. I think one of the recent examples is an artist came from the UK, and then through that partnership with some of the artists in residence, they managed to have an exhibition in the embassy in the UK. Some of the artworks went there. So those are platforms that are generated through the residency program. So now we have young artists as far as Philapusi.
Oh, wow.
We've had some coming from Maswingo. So I think we're in the right direction.
I love the direction it's going. I really do. I'm going to bring you back a bit.
Okay.
Because I don't think you just found yourself in the gallery space. What was happening before? I know you've got an MBA as well. Was the goal always to be in the creative space? How did we end up here?
Initially, I wanted to be a lawyer when I applied.
Are you serious?
When I applied for school, when they say put in your three subjects, so law, psychology, and I don't remember. I think I put admin at the end. Somehow, I ended up studying admin, and I put away law. I figured I probably would be able to talk so much, and being at the gallery, I think I don't know if I can call it, a calling, because at the time when I was looking for a job, the gallery put an advert in the paper, looking for an administrator, what, and I think I'd placed also an advert in the paper saying I'm looking for an admin position.
Oh, wow.
And I got the call, got the interview, I started my job, and it's 19 years down the line.
Wow.
I'm in the space, but I've always been passionate about art. I grew up, I think drawing and painting. In class, I think I was one of, those diagrams in school when we say, draw a diagram.
Yeah.
So people would come in and say, can you draw for us? And what.
Wow.
But I guess we never had the opportunity to pursue it at school level, because I think the curriculum at that time was more, if you are at a certain level, you should do these subjects. And I suppose that's how I never got the opportunity to pursue art at that level. I wonder if I would have succeeded. Or
It's never too late. It's never too late. So now that you're in the creative space and you've been at the gallery for over 18 years, what are the things that you are seeing in terms of what the creative economy landscape is looking at, like in Bulawayo and in the region?
Yeah. So I think we've always treated art in the past as an exclusive sector, only for artists and only understood by artists. And yet we need the buyers who are not necessarily conversant with art and that kind of audience. So we've then come to the point where we're looking at how to monetize that craft or that creativity. And that has become a key component of the value chain in the creative sector. There's, I think, especially when speaking from a visual arts perspective, there's two components to being an artist. It's building a legacy or a profile, where you're able to be selected to exhibit at Venice. You have to have a profile, a body of works that speaks to collectors, speaks to curators in that form. But that alone doesn't pay your rent. It doesn't pay your fees. It doesn't feed you. So you have to look at the other side of the creativity and how do I make money out of this? So that's where it comes in to say, over the years, artists have come to realize that we need to find a balance between those two things. Building a profile for exhibitions, for galleries, but at the same time also making my money to meet my daily needs and turning your art into a business and treating your studio space as a business, not just coming there to chill and chat with Tariro, but you're paying rent for that space. how are you recovering that rent at the end of the money from the artworks that you've created in the studio? So if you just get there and then just, chill and not work, come month end, you have no rentals for the workspace that you have. You have no sales. And that means that you are also not making income yourself. Even if a curator comes in or a buyer comes into your studio, they are not able to find any body of works that will say, can I buy or can I put them up for an exhibition? So I think we've come as arts players to say, let's appreciate art as a business. It's not a hobby. It's not a pastime event. It's a business. You need to make money at the end of the day out of it.
So true. And one of the things that we are learning through the So Creative course is how do we turn our passion into profit?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things and the elements that you are teaching the young artists or the artists that are coming in terms of how to do that?
When we had this program called For Our Elders, we were reaching out to our senior artists. It didn't start with these young artists that are already there. Okay. There are artists who were there before independence, post-independence, who were once young, but are now senior artists. I remember when we made visits, house visits to them, to just say, what are you doing now? I mean, at some point you exhibited internationally, you won a presidential award, you were selling works outside the country, and suddenly there's this quietness about you. When we look for you now, you are in your house or something like that, but there's this disconnect between the current pool of artists and you senior artists. And when we were talking to them, most of them made money but didn't document. When you ask them, so where did you say, Australia, those countries, but where is the documentation if we were to do a follow-up on your work or everything else just to see? So I then realized that even senior artists were not documenting, were not keeping, business books or anything for that matter, just to, yes, when you look at them, my art, I was a famous artist, but business-wise, you're not able to track and see what is it that they were doing. So we became intentional to say, let's have conversations around costing, around pricing, around branding, around visibility, marketing yourself, and being seen and heard, and making sure that you're treating this as a business. Because imagine you come in as a trust and you want to buy artworks from an artist. Obviously, you need receipts, you need quotations, and all that. Some of these artists don't have those things. And we're saying start with the basics. Transact as a business. And it also helps you to keep a track record of who bought your artwork. Because art is not like bread where you just say, I know it's okay, people just need it on a daily basis. But how do I then say, Tario, would you need another art piece if I don't keep records of that sale, of that transaction? And also when it comes to the issue of copyrights and everything else, when I'm selling my artwork to Tariro, I need to have a clear conversation with her that you cannot reproduce my work. And that comes into a documented into a written document, and to say, this is my certificate of authenticity, my copyright certificate that explains this and that, so that I know that my artwork is safe with you. I will not see paper towels or curtains being reproduced out of the artwork, out of that one transaction that we had, things like that. So those are the kind of workshops that we're trying to do and that we've been doing with artists. We've had presenters come in to talk about value co-creation. We've spoken about entrepreneurship in the arts, marketing, branding, visibility, all those things. We're trying to get them to see, when you come in, when you have that conversation with an artist, let it be a full, proper business transaction that you are also happy with, even as somebody who doesn't love art, but you've bought something and you're feeling happy with it. So yeah, we're seeing kind of the fruits somehow.
I was just about to ask you, how's been the reception? Because I know as an artist myself, I feel, we're in our feelings a lot. How's been the reception, and are they actually responding to that sort of information?
There was an incident when, I will not mention names, but one artist came and said, sometime last year in December, and said, you know what, the things that you're telling us, I think at the time, we're just thinking you're just being fussy. But they had a nasty experience. Their works got reproduced and they were not benefiting from that. And seeing that, made them realize that I need to put my house in order. I need to have these copyrights put in place, these documents put in place, and so on. So sometimes people learn the hard way, unfortunately. But our intention is to make sure that you value or receive the education before you actually need it, not when damage is there. So there are some that are actually practicing it. There are some artists, when you come to their studios or when you're contacting them, they will just give you, the proper documentation, everything. There's a contract. If there's no contract, they will draw it up for you and say, this is how I work and this is what I do. And then you are having that conversation where you say, oh, okay, so you want 50% deposit in advance, and then you're now negotiating like from business to business. It's not been easy. I think particularly with new entrants into the sector, because they are coming from a blank slate. They don't know. You're excited. I've been invited to come and exhibit at the gallery, but you didn't read the contract that says there's a 44.5% commission. And then you've charged your work and say, oh, my work is 600 and you've budgeted, I'm going to get 600. But you don't know that there's tax and then there's commission. And then there's bank charges. So what you get is not 600. Exactly. And then when you're seeing in your account, you've been given 400 and something dollars, some point cents. You're like, what happened? And I say, but it's in the contract. So we're encouraging people to say, get the contract, read the fine print. If you don't understand it, we are there to help you understand it. And I think there's so many people within the ecosystem to help. You've had experience. If somebody reaches out to you, I'm pretty sure that you'll be saying, oh no, let me show you how this is done. This is what you should do. Look at this, come to this and this. So using the ecosystem of the networks that we have and the institutions that we have, I think we should be able to move forward as a sector during that.
So good. And I love that you are helping us to get to a stage where we can document our things, because that also helps you as an institution to sort of inform policy, to inform the government, and to inform how we should be dealt with as creatives. Talk to us about your role as an institution in that regard and how you're responding to some of these national frameworks like your NDS ones, etc., etc.
Okay. So I think the biggest job of being a gallery also is being able to speak for artists in rooms where they are not really present. You sit in these where events are being planned and you say, we need entertainment, we need artists to exhibit. And then the first question will be, what are you paying? What are they getting in return? Or publicity and visibility, but that doesn't pay the rent. So that's where we also come in and say, no. This is what should be paid for. If you are going to pay for food, if you have a budget line for food, a budget line for tokens for your guests and everything. So certainly there should be a budget for paying the artists. If you are going to want entertainment, if you're going to want them to do something, it has to reflect in the budget. So that's one of the biggest tasks that we really do, to say, when you see the event coming out and you're seeing the artists there, we've already had the conversations on behalf of the artists to say, no. Can we see the contract? This is how it needs to be. This is what they need on the ground to make it work. And, this is how it should be, so that we are all happy with the event. The artists are delivering par excellent services and the program comes out beautifully. So that's one of the things. And when you talk about NDS 1s and 2s, they are the blueprints of what defines us as a gallery. It's becomes spelled out into our programs. It informs our strategies. So all the programs that you see are aligned to those documents, where they talk about mainstreaming culture, making sure artists are paid and compensated and contributing to the GDP. So when we're having these exhibitions and it's for sale, we want you to make money. And we want you to contribute to the GDP. So when you sell, automatically that gets recorded. And Tariro has made a sale. And this is the average income of artists that we're recording and reporting, to say artists are making so much money. And personally, you also get to gain your own money as well. And we're showing that art to the next generation is a viable business. So those documents are critical because they guide and inform our programming. And they make sure that we are speaking for the sector, because they're not generated without the consultation of the very same people that we're meant to serve. So everything that you see in the gallery is a reflection of those documents, a guide, and making sure that we're delivering for the benefit of the artists and regulated properly.
So good. I know you're big on inclusivity and you're doing a lot of projects with rural outreach as well.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how that has been going. You're not specifically, forced to be in Bulawayo, but you're actually in the region. Talk to us about how you're ensuring that the creative economy conversation includes everyone who's part of the talk, not just
Yeah.
people in the city.
I think it's we should think of it as an extraordinary opportunity. It's a gap, but also an extraordinary opportunity, because 3/4 of the time we focus on the urban artists or urban spaces more. And yet there are also artists in rural areas and peri-urban areas who are very creative and have amazing stories and amazing work, but are just not included in the system or are overlooked. So for me, it's been a very deliberate and intentional program and effort that we should go out beyond the gallery where it is. We've started off by being in Lobengula Youth Center.
Are you ready to turn your creative ideas into a financially rewarding business? To take your creativity further and make that creative side hustle your main hustle? You can own your future with our So Creative e-learning platform, an initiative by the British Council. With So Creative, you set your own schedule and learn how to build your business for free. Our courses are tailored to creatives looking to build a business to bring their ideas to the world. We have a community of over 500,000 students registered and over 30,000 course graduates. Our courses are available online, and many of our students and graduates come from all over the continent. You could be next. Explore a world of creativity and take your pick from our free, self-paced courses designed to give you the skills to launch and grow your creative business. You can also try our more in-depth courses designed to give you essential skills to grow your creative enterprise, like raising capital to fund your next venture, impact entrepreneurship to make your creative enterprise an engine for positive change, finances for creative business to help you plan and manage your resources effectively, and creative economy policy making to help you better navigate regulations and stay informed on opportunities you can use to grow your creative enterprise. Register today and write your own story with the So Creative e-learning platform.
For example, where it is, we've started off by being in Lobengula Youth Center, for example, where we've had programs with children there in partnership with another artist who's running a program in that space. Because we've listened to artists, even parents who are representing some of these young artists, to say, it's expensive for me to pay for transport and lunches for them to attend this program for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we say, how do we respond to that other than just cancelling? Let's take the gallery to the
people.
communities.
Yeah.
And then you have a wider audience attending. Then the community is looking and say, what is happening there? Can my child attend? And then we're, snowballing our reach and our audience just by doing that. And if I just expand on that, on the Lobengula program that we did, I think out of that we trained about 20 young artists in digital skills and basic life drawing. And then we were able to host, I think, about 8 of them in the residency program. And they were able to take their art from just, portraits and pencil drawing to creating proper paintings that were exhibited. And now they are able to participate in these other exhibitions. I think it has spiraled into another partner seeing those artists and then say, can they come and exhibit in my space?
Nice.
So that's the effect of just going out from the gallery and then into the communities. We are now present in Kwanda, Plumtree, Beitbridge, Mbembesi. We've established an art association just recently in Mbembesi through also partnerships as well. Matopo, you've seen the work that we are doing with the Matopo women, documenting their traditional hand painting into pots, into fashion. And they're now making money. And all these women are now responding to the open calls that we're sharing and saying, how do I take part in this event? I want to participate. And what I like about it, one of the women just writes everything in Ndebele. And we said, we're not changing
That's
that.
it.
That's
That's
the
it.
artist statement.
Yeah.
Why are we changing it? It's so perfect the way it is.
Yeah.
But that's a woman who's participating simply because we went into the communities and they said, oh, I can do that. Okay, so I would like to participate. So that presence for us is important. It also means that we are serving our mandate as a regional gallery.
Yes.
You are included in those spaces. I think with this whole technology thing on WhatsApp now, we're able to communicate and share. There's a program. There's the annual provincial exhibition that we have set up as one of our flagship programs for everyone outside Bulawayo to exhibit. And it keeps growing. We get artists from Midlands, members taking part. And hopefully, out of the Dagamela program, we managed to find 1 or 2 young artists. They were saying, also, we want to take part in this program.
Wow.
So the numbers may be small, but the impact is certainly making a difference because someone else knows about the gallery in that space. And if they share and they share and they share and they participate, I think eventually that whole being a regional gallery would really make big sense.
So good. I'm actually looking at your print right now. Is that
Yes,
one of the local
Matobo ones.
Oh, that's the one.
Yes,
Matobo. So,
yes.
something that I've just been wondering. What happens with this indigenous knowledge that we are getting? Who owns the IP of these things? How does it work? Can I just wake up and say, okay, this is an original, Tariro production?
Yeah.
How does it work with the IP for these creations?
I think that's also, this has been, or it still is, an area that still needs proper addressing in the sector. Because a lot of it, we get excited as artists, we forget this protection that we really, really need. And I think also from an institutional perspective, I know it's expensive to copyright your products and everything else. So the conversation that we really try to have, even with partnerships like National Arts Council, to say, how do we make it affordable for artists, even as far as Matobo, to copyright their products, to make sure that Tarot is not really just coming up and then reproducing this. With this project, for example, we put up, we had contracts that were clear that you are not reproducing this fabric. Even to the printers who were printing, we told them you are not to reprint this.
Wow.
If they do that, we will be up in arms and fighting with them, because we made it a limited edition, particularly for that project, to try and kind of see if it will work. But for the rest of the sector, I think it's very important to see how we are copywriting our issues. I think starting off with just a small, simple certificate in the visual arts sector, you can draw it up yourself and then have it as a functioning document. As long as both of us sign it, and I'm agreeing to be bound by those issues, it's a starting point.
Yeah.
It will help. So it's still conversations that we need to continue to have with the legal authorities that really running the IP issues, and to also help artists understand that it's a very critical component of their business and their art, and they really need to be part of those conversations and not let institutions lead the conversation alone, but be present and contribute immensely so that at least it influences policy and the actual practice on the ground of what should be.
So good. Because you work with such a diverse, group of people, do you have any success stories that you can share that show us how viable this process is? Because people will be like, but is it necessary? But I think if they hear something that has happened and that someone who's been successful in just monetizing and professionalizing their craft.
I will talk until the sun comes.
We have time.
I will... I'll start with the provincial areas. We have a young artist called Katelwa Ndlovu, based in Plumtree. Our first conversation with him when we were starting the outreach program, and he was still trying to figure out if he's a digital artist, if he's a painter, or if he's a writer, or something like that. But what he knew was he wanted to express Kalanga culture, but he didn't know how to do it. So we gave him that kind of guidance, say you are strong on digital art and maybe you should look into that, refine your skills then. So we invited him to programs and activities that we did, and eventually he applied, I think it's the value creation, the old mutual one that you
Value
challenge.
creation challenge. Yeah.
I think he came up as a third runner-up
Wow.
in that program. That should be 2025, I think, somewhere there. And he's now set up himself as a business, an animator based in Plumtree.
So
who's
good.
doing books in Kalanga, animation in Kalanga. And he's professionalized his space. He was able to buy equipment to improve his craft. He's facilitated workshops in partnership with other organizations here in Bulawayo. Just recently, I was speaking to him. I was coming from Namibia, learning about documentation by a client who had seen his work and said, I want to help improve your skills on documentation and what. So for us, that is something that we record as a success story of an artist who's done something. I think even won the Visual Arts Man of the Year Awards.
Wow.
He's really putting himself out there, and he's positioning himself as a business and as an artist. So for us, that is a win. We also have Magines in Gwanda.
Oh, yes. I'm
Magis
excited to
Unique
meet
Beats.
her. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen her socials.
Yes, yeah.
She was one of the elderly women who came through when we were doing the Gwanda outreach as well. She was there, she was present in every event, every program, and she would ask, how do I do this? How do I get to this? And when you send open calls, she say, but I want to apply.
Wow.
So can you assist me? And she'll be on your case. Have you reviewed this? Have you done this? Like, okay, Mama, I'm sorting it out.
Yeah.
And this is where she is now. She is training women in her communities, young artists, beadwork. You see the level of beadwork that she's doing now, and the creativity that she's just putting into it. And she's present in events, in programs, and she's learning and she's growing. So for me, that's something else that we record as success. And we have artists in the residency here who have made sales, who've established themselves. Another one is now gone back home in Maswingo and trying to put up an association in Maswingo to say, guys, I saw this, we can do this. So they keep pushing and doing that. Another young one got a British Council grant last year to run the anime programs.
Oh, yes.
Something that came from one of the programs that we're having. And then she said, I want to grow this and see myself in this direction. And then we assisted it, connected with the right dots, the right person where we were able to assist, we assisted. And Cherish is now running the anime event and
So good.
doing that in Bulawayo. So those are some of our stories of young people that I'm sharing. I'm not sharing about the senior ones because those ones are
That's a
already,
lot.
established. But
And I think we need to hear more of these stories. I particularly like Magines' one because her digital footprint is amazing.
Yes.
It's amazing, and it's nice to see, the elderly embracing new skills to get their work out there.
And also the issue, I think she was wise enough to say, I'm not good at this, but who do I get to assist me with this? Because social media is not my strength.
Okay.
But I want to be present there. I want to be doing this. So she has created partnerships locally within Gwanda to say, can you document this and do this for me and do that? So I think that's another thing that artists need to appreciate, that you don't have to do it all alone. You don't have to be the admin, the finance person, the photographer, the everything. There's people for that.
Yeah.
So be open to such things and say, how do I get Tariro in my space to assist me with this so that I get it to the next level, the level that I want it to be?
You've literally spoken to my next question, which is finding the right people. And one of the modules that we are learning is just creating a team of human resources. And you've done that pretty well, and you've spoken of it already. Okay. Talk to us more about a creative who's trying to diversify and to grow. And how do they make sure that they've got the right people on their team or the right partnerships to make sure that they move their craft forward?
I always think that it's always starting with the network that you already have. I mean, if you know that Tariro or Silenkosi is good at A, B, C, and D, all it takes is just a phone call or just a walk to say, can you help me with A, B, C, and D? And then if your visions are aligned, I think that's the critical part. Shared vision. Yeah. Because I may want your help, but you're not buying into my vision, or I'm not seeing your vision. Obviously, that relationship will not work because I'll try and change it or take you in a direction that will not be speaking to you or what is it that you want. Yeah. So always make sure that the people that you're speaking to, you have that shared vision and they understand it and are able to grow it into something bigger, but that's something that you can relate to also. And also just I think that ability to ask for help or for collaboration is important. Sometimes we judge people just by looking at them or just looking at their social medias and just say, oh, this one might not want to assist me. Oh, she's too famous now. But you don't know until
be
you reach
shocked.
out and ask
Absolutely.
and say, oh, really? Yeah, that's okay. I know sometimes it's not necessarily my skills or me coming on board, but being able to say, but I know someone who will be able to assist you and is fully capable of doing that.
Yeah.
And then that referral is important. So it's appreciating your own ecosystem in the first place to say, who do I know? Who can I work with? And then looking outside to say, other than the ones that I have here, maybe they have limited skills or limited in what they can assist you.
Yeah.
Who do I look for outside? I think now it's easier with social media. You can look for people online and then say, but I want to work with that person. How do I do that? You know, like I shared with you, there's an artist in Kwanda who said, can I bring my work to showcase? Already,
And I
I'm
love that
thinking,
for like the people really want to show what they're doing. It's amazing.
so he could just sit there and say, okay, I'll just attend the workshop. But my art won't be seen. I'm pretty sure that's what he was thinking.
Yes.
So how do I get my art to be seen? Then he texts me, can I bring my work? How many do I bring? And then things like that. So it's just that awareness to say when there's a program, how do I reach out to the organizers to say, can I be a part of this program and do A, B, C, and D? If it doesn't cost us or doesn't change the format of the program, why not? Kind of like the group that has said, can we come and perform?
Yes.
You know, sometimes you sit and wait for people to come and look for you. And that sometimes doesn't happen, especially in the visual arts. When you're working at home, no one will see your art because I don't even know where you stay.
Yes.
But when you come out and you bring your work, you show us, well, then say, oh, wow, can you come and do a workshop for us and assist young people do ABCD? Or can you go with us to Eslangeni and do a photography workshop? We've seen you. You are seen. You are present. Where you're supposed to be paid, you'll get paid. You're growing. So I think it's very important to be aware of the sector. And I think we should also look at the issue and say it's not gatekeeping when I'm referring you to Tariro or when because I know somebody. People sometimes, there's that element in the arts where there's so much gatekeeping. I don't know how we can get rid of that term in the arts sector. And be present. I think it looks like gatekeeping if you are outside and you're not known because we can't chaya matambo and say, I think there's someone in Culture Park, you know.
Yes,
But
unless you put yourself
you know,
forward. Yeah.
come through.
Yeah.
When we say there's an event happening in Kwanda, just show up.
Just show up.
Or ask, what is it about?
Yeah.
Does it align with the work that I do? Oh, I want to attend. Oh, okay, when you get there, and you're like, okay, so this doesn't happen. How do I get more information of what? You have answered all the questions that say, what could have been? Did I miss out? And so on. So I think people should just be present in spaces. Go out, look for opportunities, be seen, you know, charge where you're supposed to charge, offer services where you feel like you can offer them. And eventually it will pay off.
That is such a brilliant statement right there. You know, just show up. Just show up and be visible. So you are privileged to be in an interesting position as, yes, a creative, an administrator, and also looking into government. So if you were a policymaker, which you can influence policy, what is the, maybe let's say 3 things that you'd say need to be put in place for our creative economy to thrive?
I think one that's being pushed already or being said in the documents that's being there. Art is a business. It needs to be rewarded properly. If you're going to budget for all these other things, make sure you have a budget line for artists. I think that will keep pushing and will keep saying until everyone gets it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're budgeting, it should be reflected in your budget that you are contracting artists for this. And I think the other thing also is what I'll then say is... it's probably to say to policymakers, the question that they should be asking themselves is, it's not what do I gain when I invest in your program or in your activity or in your exhibition, is what do you lose out by not investing in this program? That's one thing that I think policymakers should look at, or anyone else would think around, because half the time it's, what do I gain when I come into your event? And then you're now striking to say publicity, what, and so many things. But they lose out on so many things when they don't take part in the arts, because we have a lot to offer. It's not just an artwork itself or the performance. We're sharing or documenting lived experiences, storytelling that will be here for generations to come. And that is what you'll be losing out on as a policymaker if you're not taking part, if you're not regulating it properly, to say our heritage will be lost if you don't make the right decisions. And this is how we are losing out. And it's not just the policymakers who are losing out. It's a whole generation and a whole nation that we're losing out on if we don't do that. So it's very important for policymakers to understand that art is very fundamental in documenting our identity, our heritage, our history, and everything that makes us people and Zimbabweans and the many facets of the tribes that we have here. And I think for me, that's the critical part that they really need to understand. And they don't need to compare it with mining and what, because it doesn't document who you are, your language, your dress, your everything that we are as a people. But art does that through song, through dance, through instruments, through paintings. And that's very important to be understood at national and policy level, right down to every individual here.
So good. Someone once said to me, you can't get 3 quotations for an artist. You can't, because they are 3 completely different products.
Very much
You
so.
just
I
need to
agree.
find the one you want and decide what works with your budget.
Yeah. That's
so
very
amazing.
true.
So let's look at the future of the gallery. Where are we going? Where do you see the gallery going? What are some of the things that we need to look forward to that you'll be doing? Any exciting projects coming up?
Making money.
Yes,
money,
yes,
Tariro.
yes. It's a creative economy.
Yes.
So the money is a very central part of it.
Do you know, when I was reading around the arts contribution to the GDP as at 2025, it's 0.14%. It's by our standards, I think it's okay. But when you compare with South Africa and other countries, that's a very extremely low figure.
Yes.
South Africa is between 1.5 and 3% from the arts sector, somewhere there. And what that says to me is we need to make more money at institutional level, at artist level. And how do we make that money? I think all the things that we've discussed, positioning ourselves as businesses, audience development. How do we make sure a client can say, bag of cement, artwork. Let me just get both.
Yes.
And not
So
to
good.
be, to say, let me just get the bag of cement. I'll see the artwork next time. No. How do I get you? Maybe not immediately, but come back and say, I want to buy, or I saw an artist in there that I would like to work with. Can they come and do a mural for us? And that point, simply by that one intentional visit to the gallery.
Yes.
Money. That's number one.
Money. Yes.
Yes. And obviously, it's to continue to capacitate our artists with the bigger vision of what the artists have actually said to us, to say, how do I grow my craft beyond just sustainability, but also to be able to exhibit and participate in these international platforms, different residencies, and so on. That's the cry of most young artists, to say, how do I get to be seen beyond my local community? So that's one of the things that we're also intentional about, to say, how do we assist you respond to open calls, to grants, to residencies outside Zimbabwe, so that you're participating in these platforms. I know the biggest event in the visual arts is the Venice Biennale.
Yes.
So everyone wants to take part. But for you to get there, you need to build yourself, your profile, your body of works, and everything else. So that's part of what we're doing in this region, to say, how do we nurture you to get to the point where you're able to sell at Venice, to get your work to be seen at Sotheby's and sell like Porsche's or wherever, and all those things. How do we get you to Zaid's Mocha? Things like that. We want to grow them and grow their work to that point where they're able to be seen on international platforms like that.
So good. Silenkosi, it's been such an honor to have you and just share the nuggets that you've shared with us. I'm sure we'll be having a lot more conversations as we go
Hopefully,
along. Any parting shots you'd like to share with our audience?
The gallery is an open space for everyone, as an audience, as an artist, as a child. It's open. Please come through and to work with us, partner with us, even if it's just to tour and have fun. And art is a business. I think people really need to appreciate that when they see an artist. I've seen artists say, when the people say, "What do you do?" I'm an artist. Like, oh, what else do you do? Like, okay,
That's it.
yes, but what is it that you
Yeah.
actually do? So when you hear someone say, "I'm an artist," appreciate it in the same manner when someone says, "I'm a doctor, I'm an
Yeah.
engineer." That's their full-time profession. And it's their work, respect it, value it, or at least get to understand it more, so that we are not rubbishing them or pushing them aside as, "Oh yes, but what else do you do?" Kind of that thing. So, and to those who are in Gwanda, hopefully we'll see you in Gwanda
Yes.
for our workshop for our creative economy. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have Silenkosi, one of the champions who are pushing the creative economy conversation in the art space and making sure that we are monetizing and professionalizing so that this industry makes sense. Like you heard, she said, art is a business. We're not here to play.
Yeah.
We're here to make the money, and we are here to make sure that the creative agenda is pushed. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation today.
And that's a wrap for today's conversation. It's been an amazing time. And if there's one thing that you're going to take away from today, it's look, the creative economy is here. The creative economy is here to stay, and we're here to build the capacity of all the practitioners in it. So if you like what you heard, if you like what you've listened to, please do share, please do tell someone, and make sure you subscribe so that you can catch the next conversation.